Good evening and welcome to the studio. I knew it would pop up eventually. That scene switch seems to take a lot longer than it used to do. Good evening everybody. So, new thing tonight, finished the train off yesterday, which was the objective, to finish off the train. Now then, Clarybug last night did suggest putting a Zelda Triforce on top of this box. Seemed like a good idea. So that's precisely what we're going to do. We're going to pyrograph that on top of there. And to do that, I'm going to need to have that image transferred. So that's the first job. She's going to require me to have a pencil, which I know I've got around here somewhere. Or rather, I know I had one around here somewhere. I have a feeling it's been borrowed. Luckily, I've got another one hidden, which I will need, and I need some transfer paper. And I have some of that as well. We'll use black transfer paper for this. Now this is effectively, no, don't wet it, that's silly. This is effectively like carbon paper but isn't carbon. It's not wax either. Bubbles the Monkey, good evening. Welcome to the studio this evening. I'll leave it there for the moment. Actually, that is a bit off. Cameras, forever adjusting cameras. And that still hasn't done what I wanted it to do. Never mind, let's do a physical adjustment like that. There. Captain Derby, good evening. Welcome to the studio. Right, a little bit of masking tape so that I can stick that down to that box. Which means it won't move whilst I do the trace down on it. So about that. Right, so I don't want to tear this either, so I am just going to be somewhat careful about where I put it. Yeah, that's about right. I now have to trace that down. Indeed I did, yes. I finished that locomotive last night. Let me change my glasses. I don't notice I need my glasses, other glasses, until I start trying to look at something quite close. And then it suddenly goes, can't see that. Thank you very much for that comment, Captain Derby. Yeah, the hardest bit about doing this is going to be tracing this more than anything at all. Just because it's small. And awkward. And when you're working small like this, the grain of the wood that's underneath, that's when you're trying to trace something like this, the grain of the wood that's underneath has a tendency to make your pencil go where you don't want it to go. And lighting isn't fantastically good to see this either. Oh well. I only mainly need just a rough outline. I can then work from that, but it's a bit of a fiddly design when you're trying to do this on top of a box. Oh dear, I am wondering, tracing this makes things like drawing the leopard feel simple. And this is just straight lines. If I was wanting to do a lot of these, I'd be creating, well, two things. I'd be creating a template, but I'd actually create a jig to hold this thing in, such that it was sort of flat. Because I basically got nowhere to rest my hand. Which is surprisingly awkward to draw. Ooh, blimey, my ability to trace is bad as well. No, because kind of like neither did I, Captain Derby. I know it's a Zelda album, and I think I know it's got something to do with. Is there a game called that? I don't know. I know I've heard of it in conjunction with Zelda. And I quite like the Zelda games. I just haven't played any for a long time. I haven't exactly gone off console games, but I don't exactly play them either. I've traced that down, but almost certainly that's going to be a terrible tracing. Yeah. And it's shifted. Don't like that. We shall do that again. I have an eraser around here somewhere. So we shall try that again. I am wondering though if I have got something. Actually I have got something that might be better than that. A cocktail stick. Now then, that's why that doesn't look right. It's off. Okay. Can't use one technique that potentially could be used is like pinpricks through the paper, but that I can't actually use pinpricks through the paper because pinpricks will actually show up on the wood if I did that. And that wouldn't be good. So try this again. Nearly. I'm afraid there'll be a bit of a... I'll move that light in a minute, but I need to see what I'm doing here. I know that makes the face cam white out. Now the first question is that working? Because if it's not, no, so we won't bother with that. We will go back to the pencil. The other way of doing this would be to project the image, but I can't easily set up a projector for this. Good evening, Fluffy Twiggler. Welcome to the studio this evening. And here I was thinking I just love cheese. Which reminds me, I've got a block of cheese in the fridge that I need to eat before it goes out. Well, it has gone out of date, but yeah, Captain Browncoat, I believe. And why were you confused by it, Bubbles the Monkey? Right. That's close enough, but it's off centre. Oh no, there's actually a couple of people. There's Captain Browncoat, who you probably saw the other night, and there's one other guy whose name has just escaped me. See if I can find who it is, because he occasionally he doesn't do so much. I haven't seen him do so many. He doesn't do mute. Thank you. He doesn't do so much pyrography these days, but. It's going to annoy me now unless I can remember his name. I'm just looking through my followers list. Because I know as soon as I see it, I'll know where it is, but I might not see it. No, it wasn't him. And oh, Bubbles the monkey. Who doesn't have a profile picture? Thought you had a profile picture, Bubbles. Cannon Bear. That's it. I knew I would. Oh, well, thanks very much for the compliment, Bubbles the monkey, but I'm not quite sure I'd compare that well against Bob Ross. At all, in the slightest. So what do I do about the fact that that's off? Don't like it being off. Do not like it being off at all. It's a no, that won't fold back enough to do that. That's true, I don't watch anybody else doing perler stuff. I thought they'd only just gone back to school, Bubbles the monkey. Never mind. All of a sudden, I'm left with the only thing really of being able to do here is to draw this. Actually, no, I do have another option. The other option is to do an iron transfer. Actually, that's a possibility as well. This is done with a laser printer. So one of the things I could do is just turn it over like that and apply a hot iron, and I'll get a transfer. But I don't really like that idea. The other way, the other way is to try and do this using graphite transfer. Let's try this with a graphite transfer. I don't like the fact that it's off centre. In actual fact, I don't particularly like the fact that it's so low down on the box. Okay. Apply an eraser to this, and then I'll resand the lid of the box, because one of the things I've now got on here is a lot of pencil mark indentations. That I might actually do, but I do, yeah, might actually do that, Bubbles to Monkey. I might actually do just that. Let's put in place a couple of working lines. Let's do just that. Let's do it. Let's have a go. That's going to be, that's 6 centimeters across, and they're going to be, no they're not, okay, so that's 2.5, so 1.25 each way, which is about there. I'm actually more concerned about doing a freehanding a geometrical object like this, and something like a tiger. The tiger's easier. You might not think the tiger was easier, but it is, because the what you've got is, if you like, it's a shape everybody recognises. If it's off, it will look odd, whereas a tiger, you know, a little bit of shading off, you can't tell. Yeah, 1 centimetre. Which places the peak at about there. And then it's 6 centimetres long. Which puts the tail right there. Yeah, the problem is that it's not the center. The center isn't the center. It's square. It's 6 centimeters either way, and I'm not altogether sure that is the actual center. It might be actually. You're probably right, but I can't necessarily center it on the box. Yeah, you are close, if not exactly. Exactly right, Bubbles the monkey. 3 centimeters. No, you probably can't see that on the ruler. Interesting. Feeling like I underestimated this one a little bit. No, not at all, Captain Derby. I feel like I've underestimated this one a hell of a lot. It's the awkward shape of the box more than anything. That makes it really hard to actually keep it in one place and do a trace down. Because if I could, well, I suppose I could start cutting the trace down, and then I could sort of mount that on the box and tape it down hard. But I don't really want to do that. So I am sort of left with drawing it out, and really 1.1, 0.55. So how wide's they? 1.2. Well, one thing is, I did kind of think, what would I do for the, that doesn't look right to me. What would I do for the stream once this is done? I don't actually think we're going to have that problem. That's an equilateral triangle, and that isn't an equilateral triangle. Why does that not look right to me? That is an equilateral triangle. It's an equilateral triangle, that is. 1.2. Actually, is it an equilateral triangle? 1.2 per side. 1.2 per side it is. And if I had a compass on me, I'd draw it with a compass. .4 from the top, which is there. 2.4 is there. That is the top of the triangle. Is at that point there. Right. The base of this is 1 centimetre lower. As soon as I get something here that triangle I like the look of, I'm going to burn it. Right. Apart from the fact that the bottom line it looks to me to be a bit slanted, that's an equilateral triangle. Yeah, sorry about that, but I needed a light over the top to see what I'm going to do. Just Jessup, good evening and welcome. Right, turn that temperature right down, turn that on, get the pencil out. It has taken an hour to draw an equilateral triangle. Although I suppose in one of those count the triangle ways, I've actually drawn 5 equilateral triangles. 3D bloke, good evening, welcome. Yes, committed. If I put this in the wrong place, I'll just turn it into some sort of odd design. Because quite frankly, it's annoyed me. Got the PC yet, 3D? So that's one triangle. That's costing you more and more money than ever. By the time you finish 3D bloke, you can have enough video capability to drive a video wall. Well, at least I've done some pyrography tonight. Oh, let's hope it works, the new card then. Ah, dear. I was about to say you should just put Windows 10 on it and you know, given up the ghost with it, but in actual fact you've got to put Windows something on. You've got to have at least a licensed version of Windows to be able to put Windows 10 on. That top triangle is off slightly. Well, technically I've started. So, next bit. So welcome to the next hour of drawing. So how wide are we talking about there? We're talking about 4 millimeters. That's going to be 3. Yeah. No, what it'll be 3D block is they'll just literally throw, they'll just clone the discs. It'll be a slipstream installation, and all that happens is they just don't give you an installation key. Okay, I've not had, well, so far I've not had any problems with. Sorry, I've only had one problem with Windows 10. And that was the menu, and I don't actually know if they fixed it because I removed a whole raft of non-English help files from that were in the menu, and then it started working, so I don't actually know how many menu items I've got. Okay, good night, Bubbles. Have a good evening. I will almost certainly be doing this again tomorrow, so what should effectively be cheap and quick isn't either. Yeah, indeed. Windows 10 is faster to boot as well. Um, but yeah, I know what you mean with the SSD. I kind of got used to Windows 8 and Windows 9, Windows 10 for that matter. It's not fantastically bothered me. And I haven't particularly got a fast SSD either. And of course, with a bare installation, it does come up really fast. Yeah, I understand that, Faye. This one has been about the most stable I've ever seen, though, from that perspective. But yeah, it makes sense. Kitsuka, and good evening, welcome. I'll show you. I'll just obtain it, just a moment. There we go. I have discovered I don't particularly like working with monofilament, especially when it comes to whipping the ends of the threads, but it worked. I like the design, that the way it just naturally forms that spiral. But I think I might see, if I was to do it again, see whether I can use something other than monofilament, some sort of braided thread, perhaps braided line, perhaps, rather than mono. Thank you very much, 3D block. Those are just kits, but I'd kind of like to possibly. They're not fantastically large beads. One of the beads is out of place there. There we go. It wasn't the size of the beads that's the problem. Monofilament is extremely slippery, and so holding it in the carrier bobbins, it basically just kept coming out of them, which was sort of a pain in the neck, because you had to keep rewinding the things and keeping monofilament, it has a memory. So it was trying to form coils all the time, and it doesn't tie very well. It tries to untie itself, and just basically, you know, it's just an awkward thing to work with. Would embroidery is not actually all that strong. It possibly would be okay. But you're essentially talking about using 2 threads of an embroidery floss, rather than and basically with a couple of threads I can break them in my hands. I can actually snap it, and this stuff is about £15 Tessline, so I'm not that easily able to snap it. So for a bracelet, I probably wouldn't want to use embroidery floss, but Indeed, I did finish it, Creams. I also finished this one as well. I put the clasps on the end. So sterling silver clasps for Lady Zara. I love this one. It's a bit like cloth. It's so flexible. Yeah, it does remind me of the stuff I used to use sea fishing, and just as awkward. Right, let me just make this a little bit darker. Right, now for the next bit of this. Yeah, basically about that wide. It probably will, so let's there you go. It won't now. Well, at least for a little while. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's the bottom. So that's 2.2. That's colourful. I haven't done crocheting for years. That looks like quite a fun design to make. It's nice. It's a repeating pattern, which helps. Yeah. Well, when you've done it, I'd like to see the result, creams. That's better. We're going to be there about a couple of millimeters, 2 or 3 millimeters. Yeah, about 3. They are about what? Half a centimetre out. Well, at least the one thing about it, Creams, is you've given yourself plenty of time. One of the problems that I always have is I'll leave making Christmas presents until something like 20th of December, something like that. And of course, then you don't have a great deal of time. And I have been known to sort of, be up the whole Christmas Eve, finishing off Christmas presents. It's always what seems to be the most simplest of things as well. I mean, the one I was thinking of when I said that was I've made quite a few clocks, and I with a microcontroller, and I actually build the thing, and just for some reason that one Christmas I don't know if, well, I don't quite know what it was, but I just could not get the code right. It was actually driving me absolutely potty, and I actually finished the code to a working state at 7:30 in the morning, and then it was a case of that's it, that's done. Immediately wrap it up, and it took me, I think it was an hour and a half to build the clock, and 15 hours to do the coding. Or rather, an hour and a half to do the electronics for the clock, because it was in I built a picture frame around it, and that took a little while to construct, but actually I probably also do the same. Free work better with a deadline. Although, having said which, these days I used to do that a lot at work, but these days it's kind of like, it's just, you know, it's I've learned that it's better to get it done early rather than leave it till a deadline. That almost made me jump. Turbo Tank 85. Thank you very much. Yeah. that's I was about to say that's about even, but it's not quite about even in shape. Leave it for the mark. Oh, it's really slow progress, Captain Derby. It's really ought to have been a really quite a fast thing to do. You know, about an hour. It's black and white for, you know, as they say. And if I'd have been able to you know, to get the trace down, okay, then it literally would have taken sort of about 15-20 minutes just to colour in. But having to draw it means it's taking it an awfully long time. If it was airbrushing, I'd probably have cut this out as a stencil. Which is actually an interesting idea. And your stencil techniques possibly wouldn't have worked so well. Actually, it's given that I've got blanks like that, there's no particular reason why I couldn't freeze. But I mean, potentially they're a copyright. Mind you, so's this for that matter, copyright image. So. It's that grey line, isn't it? Free grey line. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like everything else, isn't it? It's if you went into mass production, then you know, it's likely that you'll get troubled by it. But there again, you know, it's kind of think about it sometimes. You know, some of the pictures I've painted. What would I feel like if somebody came along and you know, basically copied the picture, started selling sort of, you know, hundreds of thousands of the things, and or even one or two, and made, you know, like £1,000 a time or something. I'd be somewhat annoyed. Now, I'm not about to make £1,000 a time, but it just kind of made me think, you know, do I really want to do what I wouldn't like other people to do? Yeah. .2. Almost old age. Another 10 minutes. So did you request that he cease and desist free, or just insist on royalties? Not vindictive at all then, 3D bloke. Thanks very much, Aldel H. It's somewhat more of a challenge than it was intended to be. Yeah, well, when you do decent work like you do, it's not. I was about to say it's not surprising. It should be surprising, but you know what I mean. Um, let's do this bit. Oh yes, I've had that for yeah, 2 keyboards. It's worse. I used to have 2 at work. I used to have 2 or 3 computers on the desk, and 1 keyboard in front of the other, and I was forever typing on the wrong keyboard. Especially as I could touch type and I didn't always look at what I was typing either, so you know, and so you had to be careful just which system commands you were typing commands into. Ultimately, it wasn't the fact that you kept typing commands into the wrong system. It was just that you kept doing it on the wrong keyboard, which was the really irritating bit. Doing the wrong command occasionally, even so much as an accidental shutdown, wasn't really a problem, but it's just you had to retype everything. Right, we'll just put the 2 small arms on this, and then just freehand this. I think Moobot's doing a good job of advertising the shop. Leave him alone. I think that will do. He does have a habit of responding just after you do. I think that given that we're drawing it from scratch, a completely unfamiliar thing, that I'm not doing too bad. Oh, that centre lines. Wouldn't have been so bad if I could have got the centre line on. Yeah. And of course, it would be a lot easier drawing on a computer because you just do mirror half of it, please. So you're going to draw half of it anyway. Why didn't I think of that earlier? I didn't want to do a pinprick through this, because there's no reason why I couldn't have done punched a hole through the points, put that down, and then just put the pencil through the points. Yeah, well, live and learn. So that's going to be it for tonight. And is your Mac back up again, Free, ready to stream? What are you going to stream tonight? Assuming you are. And whilst you think about the answer to that, or answer hopefully, what I'm going to do is I am going to remind anybody that's watching that hasn't already taken a look at the shop jewellery, some of which you're seeing in pictures there. All the jewellery like items that you're seeing in pictures there is up on for sale on the shop. Things like that aren't just yet, but I might manage to get around to that at some point. Check it out. Tell anybody you like. Everybody. Yeah. Make great Christmas presents, birthday presents, presents for everybody or just for yourself. But don't forget to order early if you want them for Christmas. I am not going to be posting anything on December the 23rd. At least, not unless it's a Christmas present from me to someone else. Then I might be posting it on Christmas on 23rd. On the other hand, if you would just like to follow me, that would be absolutely fantastic if you're not already following, but you don't have to. If you want the notification, there's Twitter. A tweet goes out at the start of each stream, so it's @Zavaganart. On the other hand, I do stream every night from approximately 8 PM UK time. Currently that's 1900 hours UTC or GMT, but not for much longer, or about 2 hours quarter of an hour ago. In the meantime, what I would suggest, since I'm now going to close the stream, is that you go out and check 3D Bloke. He's an artist as well, but he's streaming a game tonight, which means I'll be watching him because I want to see what happens in this game. So take a look over there at the stream end. An excellent person to watch. Thank you all for being here tonight, and I hope I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.